He showed your picture to a psychic. He began shivering. She revealed. Angel message, universe message. The psychic's hands began to tremble the moment she touched the photograph. Her breath caught in her throat, and a strange tension filled the room. Her once calm, practiced demeanor was replaced by something raw and unsettled, as if she had just been jolted into another realm. Her eyes widened, not in fear, but in something close to awe, perhaps even reverence, and she seemed to disappear for a moment into a space that only she could see. Her lips moved soundlessly, like she was trying to interpret something invisible. The man sitting across from her watched it all unfold, his curiosity quickly shifting into a quiet anxiety. This wasn't the response he had expected. Something unspoken passed through the space between them, and the moment stretched. Then her gaze lifted, meeting his, locking onto him with such intensity that his heart seemed to stumble inside his chest. She lowered the photograph slowly, placing it on the table with the kind of care someone might give to something sacred. He leaned forward, waiting, not sure what she was about to say, but knowing, somehow, that whatever it was, it mattered. "The person in this picture," she began, her voice thin and distant, "is not ordinary. They carry something ancient, something deep, something that touches the most hidden parts of the soul." Her voice was quiet, but the weight of her words filled the room like thunderclouds rolling in. He blinked, trying to process it all, but she didn't pause. She spoke again, her tone more deliberate this time. "Unlock the power of intention, type 555 to activate change." She said this almost absently, like it wasn't just a phrase but a command from somewhere beyond. Then she leaned closer, her eyes still flickering with something he couldn't quite place. This individual doesn't just feel things. They awaken things. Hidden truths. Old grief. Forgotten joy. They bring it all to the surface, sometimes just by existing. It's not something they try to do, it's just who they are. He sat in silence, every word cutting through his doubts like a blade. He remembered how being near the person in that photograph had always made him feel strange, like time slowed down, like his breath caught for no reason. Sometimes he felt comforted, even healed. Other times, completely unmoored. "These people don't just walk into your life by accident," she continued, her voice now steady, though there was something sorrowful in it. "Their arrival marks a shift. And shifts aren't always gentle." He felt a chill run down his spine, a shiver that had nothing to do with the room's temperature. The psychic's words stirred something in him, something he had buried. Maybe this was why he always sensed something bigger happening around this connection. Maybe he hadn't been imagining it after all. She studied him for a long moment before she spoke again. "You need to understand," she said quietly, "this person is tied to you by something bigger than fate. Something old. You've crossed paths before, maybe not in this life, but somewhere beyond it." Her words hit like a storm against glass. He wanted to ask questions, but none came. His mind was flooded, his chest tight with emotion he didn't even understand. Use the thanks option to support this channel directly, she murmured, then hesitated, the next part weighing heavy on her tongue. But know this transformation is never comfortable. It breaks down who you think you are. It exposes what you've hidden from yourself. It's not always kind, but it is always necessary. And if you're willing to face it, it will lead you somewhere freer, truer. He swallowed hard, suddenly uncertain of whether he was ready for what this path might ask of him. What if he wasn't strong enough? What if he wasn't enough? Period. You don't have to walk it, she added, softer now. You always have a choice. You can leave it behind and stay in what's known. Or. Her voice trailed off, letting the silence speak for her. He didn't need her to finish the sentence. He already knew what she meant. As the session drew to a close, she looked at him one last time, and something in her eyes had shifted again this time, a kind of peace. Whatever you decide, she said, remember this, the universe chose you for this. Whether you walk toward it or not, it's yours. That path is meant for you. Her words followed him as he stepped outside into the night air. They didn't fade, they echoed. He walked slowly through the streets, photograph still in hand, like it was an anchor to something he did not fully understand. But the unease he felt wasn't fear. It was something else. Something like awakening. Like realization. Like the opening of a door he hadn't even known existed inside him. For the first time, he allowed himself to really think about the person in that photograph. Not just their face or their voice or the moments they had shared, but their presence. The quiet way they had always seemed to know things. The way they could see him, even when he tried to hide. He had never said it aloud, but he had felt it since the beginning, of familiarity, like remembering a dream from another life. A bond that could not be explained by logic, only felt deep in his bones. And now, the weight of that knowing pressed against his chest like a promise. Or a calling. Don't miss out. Like this video to show your support. And if you have ever felt that same quiet knowing when looking at someone, if your soul has ever stirred without explanation, type 555 and step into your own transformation. This is not just about fate. It's about choice. And your path, just like his, is waiting. He walked the streets with the photograph still in hand, his mind spinning with memories that now carried new weight. Moments that once seemed ordinary suddenly shimmered with meaning. He recalled their quiet conversations, the way they listened without interruption, their steady gaze that seemed to reach into places within him he didn't even know existed. There had always been something about their presence, something that made him feel both comforted and unsettled at the same time. He hadn't understood it then, but now, after hearing the psychic's words, he couldn't stop seeing it. They had been shaping his path quietly, gently pulling him toward truths he had long avoided. A sense of awe filled him as each memory unfolded like a hidden page from a book he thought he had already read. He had overlooked the significance of their presence, dismissed the feeling that there was something bigger at play. The psychic's voice echoed in his mind, reminding him that people like this don't come into your life by chance. As he stood there reflecting, a storm of emotions built inside him: fear of the unknown, wonder at the possibility, and an overwhelming curiosity. What if this wasn't a coincidence? What if this connection was something sacred, something meant? He felt caught between the life he knew and the one calling to him from the shadows of intuition. He had always clung to structure, to what could be measured and understood. But this connection, this strange, powerful bond, was asking him to step into mystery. And deep down, he knew he wanted to. There was a quiet invitation in the way the person had made him feel, as if they had seen parts of him no one else ever had. If he ignored it now, would he be turning away from the one thing that could truly awaken him? For the first time in years, something stirred within him, a spark of life, a possibility. He knew it wouldn't be easy. Transformation never was. But he also knew that staying the same, pretending none of this mattered, would leave him with regrets he couldn't live with. So he made a choice. He would follow the path, no matter how uncertain it was. He would lean into the unknown. He would see this through. Later that night, as he placed the photograph on his bedside table, he felt something shift in his chest, an unexplainable calm mixed with anticipation. He whispered to himself that he was ready. Ready to face the truth, ready to embrace whatever this connection would reveal. The unknown no longer felt like a threat. It felt like a doorway. And something deep inside him had already begun to walk through it. Something within him had started to shift. Memories, long buried and untouched, began to rise to the surface without warning: flashes of joy, echoes of sorrow, all returning like waves crashing on a distant shore he had forgotten. It was as if the person in the photograph had opened a door he didn't know existed. Their presence had always stirred something deep in him, a strange clarity, a feeling of being seen without judgment. It wasn't anything they said outright, it was just who they were. Being around them made him feel exposed in the most healing way, as if they had a key to a part of him even he had locked away. He began to wonder if this connection was peeling back layers he had spent years trying to hide. There were walls he had built tall, strong, designed to protect him from pain, from vulnerability, from love. And somehow, this person had walked right past them, their presence a gentle light that illuminated his shadowed places. It didn't always feel comfortable, but it felt real. As he reflected more, he realized this wasn't just about companionship. They were a catalyst, someone who challenged him to be more, to stretch beyond his limits, to finally face the truths he had long avoided. There were memories of encouragement, of moments when they pushed him to dream, to believe in himself when he had nearly given up. They had helped him shift his view of the world, of others, and most of all, of himself. It hadn't been one-sided either. He started to recall times when they had leaned on him, looked to him for reassurance, for strength, for clarity. Without fully realizing it, he had helped shape their path too. Their bond was not a one-way current, it flowed both ways, quietly nourishing them both. That understanding deepened something inside him. It made the connection feel even more meaningful, like it was meant to be. And yet, fear lingered. Change was never easy, and he sensed that this connection would keep transforming him in ways he couldn't yet predict. He asked himself if he was ready to let go of the version of himself that had felt safer, more guarded, more certain. The questions didn't go away, but something else grew stronger, the sense that this was a rare and sacred invitation, not to be ignored. He started seeing this connection not as a challenge, but as a mirror. It reflected his hopes, his pain, his fears, and his potential. It asked him to be honest with himself, to confront the places where he still needed healing. It wasn't always easy, but it felt necessary. The more he leaned into the bond, the more he saw it not as a disruption, but as a path, one that was meant for him. He wasn't just being pulled into something new, he was being called back to himself. Each day, as the photograph remained beside his bed, it became more than an image. It was a symbol of everything he was stepping into. He still didn't have all the answers, and doubt still whispered in the quiet moments. But he no longer saw uncertainty as something to fear. Instead, he saw it as part of the journey, one that had already begun the moment he chose to embrace the unknown. He was changing, awakening, and he knew he would never look at life the same way again. Let God's message spread far and wide. Subscribe to our channel if you love God, and thank you for your constant presence and support on this journey toward love. Amen. If you'd like to show your support, you can give super thanks up to $20.